friends. Welcome to the Decision Masters podcast. I am your host, Kirsten Parker, and we have a couple of fun surprises for you today. We are actually revisiting an episode we did back in 2023. What? And I have to give credit to one of my listeners, Angela, who just downloaded the worksheet for the mid-year reflect and reset. This is an exercise that I walked people through 2 years ago, and it just popped up that Angela signed up to get this free downloadable worksheet, and it prompted me to remember this episode exists and re-listen to it and find all the gold in it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect timing. We need to listen to this episode again. So you can actually still go, just like Angela did, to kirstenparker.com/60 and get this downloadable worksheet for free and do the exercise I'm going to walk you through in this episode. Because 2025 has been a year. And you know what? Let's reset. I also have a quick announcement and some fun news, but another surprise. My husband, Kenny, who works out of the country now, is coming home. He wasn't supposed to originally be home this entire 8-month project, and his schedule changed, and he's going to be here for a week. Yay. And surprise, that changes some things over here in Kirsten Parker Coaching Land. So we were going to do the Stop the Spiral workshop at the end of June, and I've decided to just move it. It's going to be better for me. It's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for the workshop to just do it in July. So I contacted everyone who got their tickets early. Y'all are amazing. Thank you for your understanding. And we're going to move it to July, which just means you have more time to get your ticket. This is Stop the Spiral, a workshop where you're going to get a decision-making method that I use with all of my high-functioning overthinkers. Yes, I'm talking about you. And just as a sneak peek behind the scenes, since I'm spilling all the tea today about what's going on in life, I have been in the process of condensing all of the best, most useful parts of the decision mastery resources, my decision-making process, the fundamentals on which all of these methods are based, the practical steps of actually how to walk yourself through everything that we talk about here in real life situations. I am putting all of that together in the most effective and accessible program possible. So that is so exciting because this product doesn't exist. I've checked. There are so many resources for decision making for leaders, for the C-suite people, for financial decisions. There is no teaching out there that is focused on regular, high-functioning human, everyday decision making. It just doesn't exist. So you know what? I'm fired up about it and I am creating it. So I'm going to be releasing the waitlist for that soon, and I cannot wait for you to participate. It's got live coaching, it's got bite-sized information. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is so that A, you know that's coming, and B, you can know that the Stop the Spiral workshop is taking some of the best tools from that program and giving them to you to use today. It's like the most actionable every day. This is your shortcut to a quick win, freedom from overthinking the decision about, do we keep the big IKEA bag? Do we store it? And then I'm going to regret it if I get rid of it. I don't know. Let's just leave it on the kitchen floor for a week because I don't know how to make this decision. We are going to solve that forever. So get your ticket at kirstenparker.com/spiral for the workshop that's happening in July of 2025. And then stay tuned for this waitlist for the ultimate decision-making resource that's just going to help you feel like your most clear-headed, self-directed, decisive self. In the meantime, enjoy doing the mid-year reflect and reset. And thank you, Angela, for reminding all of us that we can do this. Well, happiest of Thursdays to you, my friend, or whatever day you happen to be listening to this, and whatever month you happen to be listening to this. I am recording this on the heels of July 2023, and this month just always seems like a great reset month. We're going to do a guided reflect and reset, a good old-fashioned mid-year reflect and reset. That said, you can really do this anytime. There is no wrong time to pause the momentum of your life, take stock of where you've been and where you are, and then orient yourself with all of that and decide where you want to go next. So wherever you are, whenever you are listening to this, it's going to be super duper valuable for you to feel in charge of your choices, self-directed, very present in your life, all of the yummy things that we decision masters are after. And of course, you know me, so you know I made you a downloadable worksheet that you can fill out and make this super duper easy. And I know sometimes that is what makes all the difference in us actually sitting down and doing these things. And I want to make this as easy as possible for you because there is pure solid gold in this exercise and in your thoughts about the year so far and the year going ahead. So go ahead to kirstenparker.com/60. Get your downloadable worksheet. You can fill it out right from the PDF. You can print it out if you want to, but you don't have to. We're making things easy all over town. kirstenparker.com/60. You can get your worksheet. And if you don't want to use the worksheet, that's fine. Use a journal, use your notes app, whatever works. We're going to start where we always start. Can you guess? Do you already know what I'm going to ask you to think about? If you guessed wins, you are spot on and get a gold star, my friend. So we're going to start with the wins. What are the wins of the year so far? And yes, any facts and figures totally count here. So run your numbers, do whatever you spreadsheet things you got to do to figure out, okay, what have we logistically achieved? I do not want you to stop there though. Don't make this a kind of placatey exercise that you try to get through just so that you can get to the other stuff with like our brains tend to do. We want to skip this stuff. We want to assume that we are not as celebratable and things are not as big of a deal. And that is not the game we're playing. So really take your time with this. Take stock. Let yourself really go back in time and consider, what have I achieved? What milestones were hit? What fun have I experienced? What people have I connected with? That's a really fun one that I've been putting on every month's wins when I reflect on the last month. I've really gone through my calendar and looked at, I had lunch with this person and I had a phone chat with that person and I met this person, really making sure that I count my human connection and my relationship nurturing as a win, because boy, howdy, is that important to our quality of life and really easy to push aside and accidentally neglect for weeks and months at a time? It is for me. So I really make a big deal about who have I connected with, and let's count that as a win. And you can do the same thing. What are your growth areas? What are the things that you've really wanted to pay attention to? And you have. Count those as wins. And yes, it can be money made. We can also count money invested in yourself, time invested in yourself as huge wins. I also want you to consider graceful recoveries from mistakes or just recoveries at all. Maybe you had some failures. Maybe you had some moments and you got through them. You recovered. You course corrected. You survived. Any surprises embraced? Things you didn't see coming that you were resilient through? Any challenges conquered? Yes. Any boundaries set? Ooh, that's a great win. Anything that you said no to or anything you were honest about that you want to count as a little win? Give yourself a little pat on the back? Yes, please. Any decisions you love? That's a really, really fun one to include on your list of wins. What decisions have I made this year that I love, that I'm proud of myself for, that I stand behind? Yes. So like I said, don't rush this. Don't hesitate to add something to the list. Our brains are already taking care of scanning for things that didn't work well and aren't wins. It's already doing that on its own. So we owe it to ourselves to do this little extra work of figuring out what are the wins, what is the good stuff. So if something occurs to you, put it on the list. Don't second guess it. There's no such thing as too small a win. When you've given yourself lots of juicy time for that reflection, then we can move to what I've called lows and lessons. This is where I want you to just note anything that was hard, challenging, surprising, sad, frustrating. You can note any lessons you learned from them if you want, but my main objective for this section is for you to give yourself the chance to acknowledge anything that might have been a little low from the year. Even if it was a low in the moment and you can see now, I've recovered, I grew from it, la la la. If it was hard in the moment, it's worth acknowledging that with compassion. So I want you to approach this section of our reflection with total self-compassion in mind. You may have changed plans or even changed course entirely because some of these things happened. And you might be in a different place now than you had maybe hoped or planned at the beginning of the year. And in order not to wallow in any unnecessary self-judgment, resentment, guilt, shame, anger, we have to have compassion. I was thinking about my friend who just did this Camino de Santiago walk. Have you heard of it? Have you done it? It looked amazing. She walked for miles and miles and miles, day after day after day. And I was just thinking about these things we take on in our lives, whether it's a logistically challenging days-long walk experience, or if it's just showing up at work, being vulnerable in a relationship. These things we set ourselves up to experience. Imagine if you just didn't acknowledge that it was hard or scary. The other way I was looking about this is if you were on a road trip and you were driving to your next hotel in the middle of the night and you got caught in a big storm. What if you didn't give yourself the chance to give yourself a pep talk? No, congratulations for taking this on. No, I think we can do this. No, what might you need to keep going? None of that helpful self-talk. And then I was thinking, what if you got through it? What if you walked all of the dozens of miles? What if you made it to the hotel, made it through the storm? What if you gave the talk in front of the people? What if you asked the vulnerable question and then you never acknowledged that was hard, that was scary? No, I'm proud of myself. No, wow, that was a powerful experience. No, nothing. It takes such a richness out of our experience. And I'm not saying that we need to relive trauma. I'm not saying we have to find things to be grateful for about horrible stuff. But acknowledging they happened with total self-compassion for the fact that humaning is hard, like half the time, that's the point here. Humaning involves all these unpredictable, uncontrollable elements in the high and the low parts of life. So taking a moment to just acknowledge this is what happened. I made it through this. I built tons of resilience through this is super valuable. So that's what I want you to do next. I also, in this section of the worksheet, share this Maya Angelou quote, I can be changed by what happens to me, but I refuse to be reduced by it. And this is part of our reset. This is part of you breathing into wherever you are right now and whatever has happened to you, for you, around you, whatever, and giving yourself this moment to steady internally and decide, okay, this is what's happened. I'm going to look it straight in the face. And now I'm also going to look ahead and take all of this strength and experience with me forward. Yum. And that's going to bring you to the part of the exercise where you do a little status report. Where are you right now? What's happening? How are things? Sometimes it can be helpful to give yourself categories to assess just so that how are things in your life is not the most overwhelming question. So if you want, you can kind of guide yourself through, okay, how are things with home, family, then relationships? What's happening in my career? What's happening in my health? What's happening in my wealth? What's happening in my fun or joy or growth? You can make up your own life categories, but chunking it up can sometimes be a more efficient way to come up with useful answers. And once you kind of do a status report, I want you to consider, where do you want to be? Where do you want things? If home is where it is right now, what would be the ideal? Would anything be different? Maybe not. That's great. If there's any growth or changes you want to see and experience in any of these areas, this is what you're going to explore next. You don't have to answer in terms of where do you want things by the end of this year, but that can be a helpful next question. So overall, if you know we eventually want to remodel our house, or if you want to get your book published, that's really good to know and name. If it doesn't feel doable by the end of this calendar year, don't let that stop you from writing it down, okay? Own what you want. Let yourself go wild. Be honest. Have fun. If you can, and it feels good, you can scale those answers to, okay, where do I want to be at the end of the year? So if you do say, want to get your book published overall in your lifetime, where do you want to be with it by the end of this year? No wrong answer. Just think about, where do you want to be? And then where might you want to be with all of this stuff by the end of the year? Anything you don't know is fine. If it's not knowable right now, it's not a problem. But anything you can be specific about, absolutely. And remember, some of this is just guesses, and it's not going to hurt anything to just put a guess down on paper. The point is to own what you want. Then I want you to consider what from this year so far is not going to work to get me where I want to go. And I want you to focus on your sphere of control for this question. Answers like, my Aunt Fanny needs to not be such a meddling so-and-so in order for me to get what I want this year are not helpful. That is not a helpful answer. So think of your sphere of control. What about this year so far? If you've been making decisions in a certain way, if you've been focusing on a certain thing, if you've been struggling with a certain thing and not getting help with it, what's not going to work? If you keep that behavior or routine or habit or mindset in order to create everything that you just wrote down that you wanted. And really breathe when you get to this question. I want you to think about internal and external options here. Sometimes what's not working from this year is I stay up too late, so I get horrible sleep, and then I don't start the next day with the energy and the headspace that I want. Great. That is a very solvable problem. That is really good information to know for what's not going to work for the rest of the year to create the year I want. That would be an external answer. There are also internal answers, though. Those are the mindset things. Those are I've been focusing so much on what's not working well, which makes me feel like I get nothing done when really I've done a lot this year. Just consult the win section of this exercise. Holy moly. I didn't really even notice that any of that happened. That mindset is not going to work for the rest of the year. That would be an internal answer. And remember, keep all of this within your sphere of control. You can certainly include things like asking for people's participation, help, collaboration, whatever, but we don't want to make your ultimate success and happiness conditional on things you can't control. If it never rains again this entire year, then I can have what I want and feel what I want. That is a super tenuous plan and is going to set you up for a lot of stress, and that is not what we are after. So now you have where you want to be by the end of the year. You have what's not going to work to get you there. And now I want you to think about, who will I have to be in order to make this happen? You need to ask this question before you start asking, what will I have to do? Your brain will probably want to go to, what do I have to do? Your brain might have already started working on a spreadsheet in the back room. It's probably color-coded some stuff by now and is just like eagerly waiting outside the door for you to finish this podcast and be like, okay, I have some ideas. And that's fine. It can wait. The logistics can wait. I really want you to think about this year that you have ahead and all of the possibilities for what could happen, what you could create and experience. There is so much possibility ahead. Who are you going to have to be in order to make what you want happen? Are you going to have to be the person who prioritizes themselves, who really sticks to the boundary to, for example, not work weekends? Are you going to have to be the person who believes in themselves, who doesn't give in to imposter syndrome and give up? Are you going to have to be the person who gets help, who doesn't try to take everything on alone and end up overwhelmed and then pushing things off for later? And this is what's going to give you your first homework for the next week. I know we might want to jump into busy work and get going on all these big plans, but I promise you're going to set yourself up for the long game if for the next week, your main focus is this who will I have to be question. Can you imagine yourself a week from now having focused on this, just sprinkling it throughout every day? What if I were the person who prioritized myself? The more you marinate on that idea, the more naturally it will evolve into, I am becoming the person who prioritizes myself. The more you teach your brain that this is a normal thought to think, the more naturally it will evolve into, I am a person who prioritizes myself. And that is pure gold. The version of you who is more familiar and comfortable with this identity, I am a person who prioritizes myself, is the person we want making your master plan for all these goals. What? Yeah, that's right. We just reverse engineered your best planning strategy ever. We don't want today us to do all of this work and spend all of this time coming up with, okay, if I spend 2 hours a day on this and if I blah, 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 blah there, then maybe I can get all of this stuff done that I want to get done. We actually don't want today's brain doing that. We want to give today's brain a bunch of vitamins, a bunch of supplements, a week at the spa. We want our best brain making our game plans. And you create your best brain by thinking about this question intentionally. Who am I becoming? Who am I becoming on purpose to be the person I want to be and live the life I want to live? Marinate on that answer, and you will make such more effective, expansive plans. Yes. So I cannot wait to hear if you try this. And don't forget, we walked you through it now, but you can get your worksheet and fill it out and make it super duper easy and then see your answers in paper, help encode all of this information. So go to kirstenparker.com/60 to get your free downloadable and let me know what you think of this. Let me know what this exercise reveals. And if you found it helpful, I would so appreciate you leaving a rating and review for the podcast. It really helps other people find this and get the access to all of these decision mastery tools. And personally, I just love hearing when something is helpful and resonates for you. So I hope you have a fabulous week. I hope you feel really proud of your year so far. And I hope you feel inspired and jazzed about the possibilities for the year ahead. I'm proud of you. And I will talk to you next week. Hey, want to find out your decision style? Obviously, go take the decision style quiz. It's in the show notes and at kirstenparker.com/quiz. We all have our style when it comes to making decisions, but do you know how to use your default way of thinking to your advantage? Or do you mainly get stuck in the most annoying parts of overthinking and people pleasing? The decision style quiz has your answers, my friend. Take it right now at kirstenparker.com/quiz.